You don't have to travel to Europe to see European architecture. Hi everyone, Ken here. Welcome to This House. Today we are exploring the Pink Palace in Washington, D.C. Make sure to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an exciting episode of This House. Marshall Field was born in 1834 in Conway, Massachusetts. At the age of 17, he left school to work for his brother in his dry goods store, where he would gain a lot of experience with retail. With a solid resume, he moved to Chicago where he landed a job with Cooley, Farwell & Company selling dry goods. By 1862, at the age of only 28 years old, he had worked his way up to the title of partner. He found he wasn't a good fit for the company culture and decided to sever ties and go into business with Potter Palmer, whose mansion we covered in a recent video. Together, with an additional business partner, they pioneered the retail industry with new business tactics that revolved around customer service, allowing customers to test products at home before purchasing, and implementing a no questions asked return policy. Together, they paved the way for the future of retail. By 1881, Marshall had acquired the entire company and named it Marshall Field & Company. By 1905, he had amassed a fortune of $125 million, or the modern-day equivalent of about $4.2 billion. Marshall had become one of the wealthiest men in the world, so it was only fitting that he would spend his time with some of the world's most elite. In 1904, he married Dahlia Spencer. Dahlia was the daughter of a hardware wholesaler magnate and was known for throwing lavish parties. She would set a theme for a ball and require guests to arrive in costume. She would hire artists to transform her house to fit the themes, including painting murals and bringing in new furniture to capture the ambiance. On several occasions, her guests included members of the British royal family. Realizing he had his hands full with his eccentric wife, Marshall sat down with his estate planner to draft up a new provision in his will, saying that if Dahlia outlived him, $1 million from his estate was to be paid out to whomever she remarried. When the estate planner asked why, Marshall simply replied, "Because he'll need it." It was good of him to think ahead, because just a few months later, on New Year's Day in 1906, Marshall was playing a round of golf with Abraham Lincoln's oldest son, Robert Todd Lincoln. It was a particularly cold and misty day, and Marshall ended up contracting pneumonia. He fought for his life over the next 16 days, but his body was no match for the disease. On January 16th, he passed away at the age of 71 years old, leaving his entire estate to his widow Dahlia. She stuck around in Chicago until 1912, when she leased the Pink Palace in Washington, D.C. from Mrs. Henderson. The Pink Palace had been built in the Palazzo style and was modeled after the 15th century Gothic palazzos in Venice. Its four-story Gothic facade included a first story wrapped in limestone with limestone coins stacked to the roofline. The Gothic windows rose to pointed arches with elaborate balustrade creating Juliet balconies between them. Ornate gardens were contained by a wrought iron fence surrounding the house on three sides. Though the house had been true to its Venetian inspiration, Dahlia began remodeling the interior of the house to be more to her liking. The stair hall was decorated in antique European tapestries, and the staircase itself boasted a mix of wood and wrought iron craftsmanship brought together to form the newel post and banisters. A ballroom was added with neoclassical elements including large fluted columns with Corinthian capitals. The ceiling rounded out over a mezzanine set behind an elaborate archway. The space doubled as an art gallery and featured Dahlia's most prized collections. Her dining room featured built-in cabinets for displaying her porcelain collections, and the walls were crafted from wood panels set below a coffered ceiling. Instead of having chandeliers hung in the middle of the room, 6 chandeliers were suspended around the perimeter. The breakfast room was every bit as ornate, with paintings, statues, and china decorating the walls. Many of the architectural features, such as arching millwork, were covered over by her decorations. The smoking room contained a brilliant parquet wood floor set with varying light and dark wood types. Floral wallpaper stretched floor to ceiling and was layered with floral drapes over the windows. For all of this grandeur, Dahlia wanted to also create a less formal space. Her informal salon was meant to be a more relaxing room with low ceilings, painted millwork, and a more modest fireplace. Here, she displayed portraits of family members and would have more intimate conversations with her guests. In 1920, Dahlia purchased the home and lived out the rest of her days in it until her passing in 1937. She never had any children, so she left her entire estate to her favorite niece, Catherine. Catherine sold the Pink Palace to the Order of the Eastern Star, but it would only be used as a Masonic lodge for a few years before being sold again. By 1951, The house had been sold to the Inter-American Defense Board. The organization painted the Pink Palace white and renamed it to Casa del Soldado, meaning House of the Soldier. By 1984, the house's facade began to fall into disrepair. One of the balconies had started to crumble, so rather than fix it, the organization had all of the balconies removed, even using sledgehammers and torches to remove the other balconies, which many believe could have lasted another century without maintenance. The organization has made several changes to the interior, but the house continues to exist to this day, a rare example of the Palazzo style in the United States. Which room was your favorite? Let me know down below in the comments section. And while you're there, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an exciting episode of This House. I would also like to take a moment to say a special thank you to our This House supporters whose names you can see on screen right now. If you would like to see your name on the screen, please consider joining our membership program today. I'll see you next time on This House.